Hey, so welcome to TWC Projects. This week is going to be a bit different from the usual, and I apologize, I've been away for a little while. You haven't seen me. I haven't put out a video in quite a while, and the reason why is because rather than creating like 7 different short videos of this project, I thought I would just record everything, save it up. It's been several weeks that I've been working on this, or weekends. And so I'm going to share it with you in this video. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy what I'm up to this time. And the last piece of equipment that I really needed, one big piece of equipment, I finally got, and I got it from the same auction I got my excavator from, McGrew, which I really love those guys. So no more suspense. Here it is, Bobcat T300. So this is a 2005, and it was taken pretty well care of. Unlike most of them are abused and look horrible. This one only has 1,800 hours on it, and it's in really good shape. And you know, that's barely any hours at all. So I think it was probably somebody like me who has their own property and they take care of their own equipment. So it's in good shape, and it looks like they've done a little bit of paint work on it. But what I'm going to do is go through it, and there's a lot of a lot of rust that normally happens. It doesn't really hurt anything, but I'm going to do like I do with my rust cutter. The top especially really needs some love. So we're gonna rust cutter. First we're gonna power wash the whole thing, and we're gonna hit these rusty spots that are all around. The bucket's in great shape. I think the bucket's been replaced. That's certainly, yeah, it's a Tomahawk. That's not the original bucket. But we've got 18-inch tracks on this thing. It's got a lift capacity of 3,000 pounds. It's 81 horsepower. 9,700 pound operating weight. I thought I'd give you a look at this thing before I get started, and then we're going to power wash. We got a bunch of little things that needs done to it, so we'll take care of those as we go along. But one of the tail lights is pretty in bad shape, and the wires are pulled on the back side. I've got to get some new wiring on that, and then like the wiper blade, you know, that's pretty easy, right? Just all worn out. You can see it's kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but somebody used it and it scratched the windshield a little bit, so I'll clean that up. But overall, I don't think it needs a lot. The oil looked excellent. It was changed less than 100 hours ago, so I think it's still got a couple hundred hours more before I need to change it. I'll double check that. I don't know for sure. I've got to look. I was able to purchase service manuals and operator manuals for it, so, and they're very good. Huge book, as well as the CD. So anyway, let's get to starting the thing up, clean it up, and then start spraying the rust cutter, and that'll be a good starting point. It can soak there while I start looking at other things. So let's get going. Thanks for joining me. All right, I think I found the first major thing that needs to be dealt with. Look at here. Boy, this belt is just not much good, is it? Don't know what is going on with that, but that's garbage. So that's the alternator belt. I assume it probably goes to the air conditioning pump too on the back side. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the second part we're going to order. I already ordered a new. This whole thing is all messed up, and this piece is broken off. So they put in a new light over here, but didn't replace the actual bulb thing, and this is all smashed and garbage. So I have a new one of those to go in, so that'll be good. But I need to get a new one of these. Ew, that's a mess. So I just need this part here with the bulb to go over here, and I'll be in good shape there. Certainly not critical to running the machine like a belt is, so we're gonna get online and order a belt right away. It's a good machine still, I'm really happy with it, but that's no good. So, all right, well, let's keep going. All right, so next day, as you saw, I sprayed the rust cutter all on there and let it set overnight. And wow, what a difference it did already here. This looks like one coat's gonna be enough. It doesn't need much, but some of the bolts are gonna need a lot more, of course. Usually takes 2 or 3. This too, this was all showing a bunch of rust here. That cleaned up real well. Let's see what else. Yeah, down here is gonna need some more, but that's looking pretty good. Stuff makes a big difference very quickly. I'm always amazed. Down there looking real good too. Man, I don't know, that'll need too much more. That really wasn't that bad to start with. A lot of this stuff, again, the heavier stuff, like the bolts and nuts, they're gonna need 2 or 3 times. But a lot of the rest of this stuff looks really good pretty quickly. So anyway, let's see what the roof looks like. Oh, it's looking pretty good. This is looking real good along here. But I think we need definitely need another coat on the roof. You can see some areas though where it built up a little bit more. Pretty much the rust is gone, and then you can still see some other here. So we'll hit that again. I won't record that again, but I'm just gonna spray that down like I did the first time. Got a whole list of things that I've got to work on. I think I've got 21 items. Ordered all the parts that I needed, and but this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna take the glass. I think I'm gonna see if I can take the glass out. One, to clean it because it's pretty bad inside where I couldn't get to it, and then also because when I paint the cage, I obviously don't want to get that on the glass and have to mess with that. So that'll be one of the things that I do today. I've got the new wiper blade that I'll put on. And some other miscellaneous stuff. So let's get back to it. I think I'll start with, like I said, spraying some more, because that stuff takes time. You want to just let it set. So I always start with that, and then I go do other things, and I'll catch you back up in a little bit. So let's keep going. All right, so I thought I was done cleaning out, and then I came back over here and I stuck this way up, and there was still more mud up in there. So a lot of mud up in there, completely unnecessary. And I think the issue is this: whoever took these access plates off last time, they put them back on the wrong way. They put them on like this. So over time, it loosened up and opened up and filled up. They need to be on, and I'm going to switch sides, but they need to be on this way so that if they vibrate, they keep falling in and staying tight, and not the other way around. So they were hanging like this, and it was just, I don't know how many pounds of mud are in there, but you know, it's a lot. That's probably 1 to 2 cubic feet is a lot of mud. That's a big, almost I think it's a 30-something inch, 36-inch basin that those are in, just to give you perspective. So anyway, didn't know I was gonna have to do that, but now I gotta get the power washer up in there, spray out as much of that as I can, and then I'll keep with my scraping and cleaning and removing stickers, because this is all gonna need to be painted too, I can see. I was hoping I could get away with not having to do it, but and up underneath. So you know, these projects always take a little longer than you want them to. And as you saw as well, I started scraping. I think I'm going to get the grinder in here because this rust is so bad here. I mean, it's still thick enough steel that I think it's okay, but I got to try to get as much of it as I can before I put paint on it. I mean, I really need to get it off there and get it as close to metal as I can. And that was, you know, 3 coats of that spray and scraping with a wire brush, and it still looks like that. So it was pretty bad. They let that go way too long. Your best friend, if you get any piece of machinery that's steel, buy Rust Cutter from Tractor Supply. And you see any rust starting, spray it. Keep it under control so it never gets bad. And, you know, if you can, paint it. After you clean it up, paint it too. But not everybody can do that. But at least you can spray. It's easy to do. So a little word to the wise. Hopefully people, there's just no need to let it go like that. So anyway, back to it. All right, so we made good progress this weekend. We've got most of the black stuff that needs to be painted, with the exception of the door and the parts down below. I've got to do a little bit more rust work. It's coming along pretty well, but I need to get it just a little bit better, and before I paint it, and then I'll still have to paint around like this part here still. So got that going on. The roof has a leak in it, so I got to fix that. The liner's falling down. I've got a whole list of things. Lots more to do on this, and still all the white paint too. I've got more work to do up front here. And these are, the back quarters are pretty well ready. I don't think I'm going to paint the arms, because, well, on the front I will, but they're in good shape. So we'll see. Hey, all right, so I'm back at it today. I've ordered some new parts that have come in. One of the things that I've discovered, of course I discovered several things about this Bobcat that I didn't know. One is the roof leaks pretty badly, so there are cracks in the glass here and over here. There are cracks and a big gap here in the rubber seal. So I just got a whole new piece of plexiglass for the roof and a new rubber gasket to put in, so we'll do that. The bigger thing that I'm concerned about at the moment is the Bob-Tach, the hydraulic quick couplers is not disengaging. So the hydraulic itself doesn't even seem to move at all. So I'm going to start with electrical. I think maybe the button or somewhere in that path is bad. My guess it's most likely a solenoid, but I don't know. I've never had to deal with hydraulics like this before, certainly not with a combination of electric and electronic and a pressure valve. So that might be a big project. I hope not, because I was not expecting that. When I bought it, I thought everything was operating properly. So, and then I think I mentioned before, I found, I got rid of them, but shredded belts. One of the exhaust cage that covers where the exhaust comes out is all broken to pieces. So yeah, that's the rubber seal for the roof. So, and I'll put the windows back in. Hopefully I can fix the headliner a little bit up in there. I don't know, I've got a lot of things. I'll keep working on this. So this is going to turn into a really long video. I think I decided just to do one long video instead of doing like last time in the excavator. I think I did 7 parts, but that was because I was trying to get one out every week, and now I'm not so worried about getting one out every week. But I do want to try to keep capturing more of what's going on. Other things, I had to order air filter. That was pretty bad, but the oil and most of the fluids look good. I don't know, I'll catch you up on more. Obviously I've got to finish grinding out this door and the rust on that and getting that painted up, and then tie up all the wiring nicely so that it isn't hanging out and dropping down like that. I've got the lights for the back all figured out, so I'll be able to hook those back up in. I think I'm going to try to get one more coat of black paint on this. I didn't like the way it turned out. I was having problems with the sprayer, so I'm going to use one of my good sprayers, I think, instead of that old junky one, and try to get one more coat on it. And I think I'll put another coat of paint on the roof too, just because that was so faded and rusted out. Not rusted out, just surface rust, that I want to make sure I don't have to do that again for a long time. So I'll put another coat of paint on that. Then of course eventually I got to do all the white stuff. So I got a bit of work to do still, but making progress, and I'm glad you're along with me, so let's keep at it. All right, so I took the grinder to it yet again and did another coat, and it's finally starting to look good. You can see it very well. There's still some pitted rust in there. It just was making a real mess inside and out. And I guess I can open this back up. So I'll let that soak a bit longer. Hopefully that will get it. This one looks like it still needs to be hit again, but the main thing I'm concerned about at the moment though is I want to make sure I get the roof cleaned up well. So because the pitting in here is going to let water in through that seal. The rubber seal goes around the outside. So I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is put a little bit of silicone on these rough areas when I put this rubber seal on, so that the it'll, any little bit that's left that's pitted in here, it'll fill it in hopefully, and create a really good seal on it. Hopefully that's the idea at least. So hopefully, I think I'm ready to move on to the painting at this point. I might need to hit this spot a little better. You can see it's still a little bit rougher than I want it. So kind of a never-ending never-ending effort to fight rust. You guys know I talk about the rust cutter all the time, and it's so simple to do. I don't know, I guess people just don't know about it, but if you just anytime you start seeing rust anywhere on any of your metal things, tools, vehicles, equipment, just put a couple squirts of that on it, and then you're good for probably a couple of years at least. It just won't get like this. I mean, this is just so bad. When this starts happening, this just really ate through the metal. I feel like it's enough to salvage. I've already spent enough money on new parts for this thing. I don't want to put a new frame door in there. I think it's about 160 bucks for just the metal part. So the whole thing with the motor and everything is like 1,600 bucks. So I'm not doing any of that. I don't even think I'm going to put a new seal on it. Hopefully this rubber seal will work. But I just want to get it better because this will sit outside for a while. Eventually I'm going to build kind of a metal like car park thing up there at Bear Ridge, so at least I can keep the rain and the pine needles and the crap off of the equipment. But that's still a ways away. But this guy's going to help me do some of that because of course I got to end up creating a level pad and put stone down there. So anyway, let's keep going. I think the ceiling, hopefully it's going to stay. I don't know, that spray, it was like 35 degrees yesterday, so I was surprised the spray even came out of the can. And that spray is probably 15 years old or more, so I'm surprised it even works. But I keep using it till it stops working, then I'll get some more. But seemed to work well on the back corner back there. If you can, probably can't see that well with this camera, but turned out all right. Looks pretty good. So just as long as this holds up to the rooftop here, so we're gonna finish this off, paint it, get that black painted. Hopefully we can get this cleaned up and finish painting all that black. There's some black down there to paint, a couple steps. I don't know that I'm gonna bother with this whole thing. I might paint these, but we'll see. You know, sometimes if you do part of it, not all of it, then it looks kind of silly too. So just trying to figure out how far. You know, the paint isn't absolutely essential except for to keep the rust down. So I definitely need to, you know, I needed to do the roof and some of these other things. So anyway, all right, let's keep going. All right, so I got the sunroof, or the, what do they call it, the roof glass installed with the new rubber seal, new glass. And as you saw, I cleaned all the rust out of there, painted, and then I even put a little silicone in the divots where the rust, where I was grinding, so that hopefully I don't have any leaks. I think that's should be good for hopefully many years to come. Also cleaned the side windows and I installed these two, but the other two, I needed to put a little silicone on a couple of spots where there were, like this whole mess was all cracked here, so I just put a little rubber silicone on there. Hopefully that'll help keep it sealed. And this inside seal will work. There was also part of this seal was peeling off, so I put a little silicone in that as well, gluing that. See, oh yeah, cleaned up the front window here and the door. It's looking pretty good. And cleaned these hydraulic couplers up, so they turned out pretty well. It's still a little bit of rust I didn't see before, so I just hit that with some rust cutter, and hopefully that will dissolve away. Everything else is looking good. Can't wait to get the white painted, because that will make the biggest difference, of course, and then put the stickers on. So I think we're in good shape right now. I'll keep going, but I just wanted to kind of stop and show you what I've done. I think, yeah, I had to order air filters really bad, so I've ordered another one of those, and hopefully it'll be here soon. And I tested out the white paint. I didn't really use a paintbrush, but I just took the stirring stick and I wiped it on, because this is the original paint right here, and then the rest was all just metal. So I wanted to see if this paint, because, you know, I love this Rust-Oleum stuff. This is the best. It's inexpensive, and I've said, like you saw when I did the excavator, this Rust-Oleum farm implement, I use this on the excavator. Of course, that's what I use back here too, all the black and the roof. But I used it on the excavator, and I thought for sure, especially on the boom, you know, I'm always in the trees and, you know, getting branches scratched. I thought that stuff would scratch right off. It's been very good. I'm like really impressed at how good that Rust-Oleum farm implement paint has been. And of course, you know, as you see it, you know, if you go to my website and you go on the Amazon page, you'll see I've got links. I've got it probably to the, I don't know if you go to the Caterpillar yellow or the black, but it's like $31 for 2 cans versus if you buy one, and I'm talking about the quart size, if you buy one, Tractor Supply is 27 bucks. So that's definitely one of those cases where it pays to shop for that kind of thing. But the white, you know, they just sell one color of, they call it farm, you know, whatever, tractor white. It matches the Bobcat really well. So I'm gonna use it to touch up all the spots that need touching up. I just want to make sure I peel back anything, wire brush it a little bit, and spray it and clean it up nicely. But making good progress. So got the decals to put on here. I don't know, I might get to that today, I'm not sure. But this is just one long old video at this point anyway, so I'll eventually get to all of it before you might have to fast forward through some of this. But anyway, want to keep you updated on this project, and it's going well. I can't wait to get it finished, so let's get back to it. All right, so I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm gonna try to bring the camera down and see if it'll pick it up, but there's condensation all over anything in here right now because it's been so cold, and then in a metal building with the concrete slab, when it gets warmer outside and there's a lot of moisture, like it's just been raining and raining and the snow is melting away and there's kind of flooding going on outside a little bit, that moisture just finds its way into the building because it isn't insulated or really closed off. There's a lot of airflow in this building. And so I get all this moisture condensing on, anything in here, vehicles and stuff, which is why I've been running that kerosene heater so much, trying to keep it dry enough so that the paint would actually dry a little bit. Plus it was cold earlier, but it's warming up now. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So what I've been working on more this morning after I put the second coat of white paint on everything, you saw me put more decals on here. I put this camera on, and now I'm starting to wire and hook up the monitor, but basically it's just kind of looped around, and then I'll zip tie. I'll hook the other piece on and keep it going and zip tie it up through. But this, I think this will sit fine here, open and close without a problem. The reason I put it over to the side instead of here is because this steel is about 3 times as thick as this, and I was being a little lazy, but I also didn't want to have to put a big hole in here or put any holes in here if I didn't need to. When this plate, I could easily reproduce it and replace the plate if I wanted to take the camera off. So anyway, not a good reason probably, but I think it'll work fine. And I've got it kind of angled into the middle a bit. So we'll see once I hook it up and test it out and see how it works. So like I said, I got the second coat of white on now. So it's still tacky because it's just so damp in here. So I'm not going to be able to bolt the step back on and put everything back on today. I'm going to have to probably do that tomorrow. But let's see, inside I have been figuring out where the monitor is going to go. I also went through and checked. I had a fuse, it looked like it was bad. Checked all the fuses, checked the relays. Well, there's only one relay that I needed to check. The others I know are working. So, and then I'll show you where I'm going to mount the monitor. So what I did was I moved, it looks like there was just enough play in my wires up here that I was able to move my 2 switches over one. So it gave me a bigger area here now that I'll be able to fit and mount this onto. And what I think I'll do is make a little steel plate that goes across the back. Oops, sorry. A little steel plate that goes across the back side of it, and then put a bolt and nut with washer on, so that the plate, all the weight of this is very light, but just to make sure that that's on there. I didn't want to I certainly can't rely on these things and pop right out. So, but then the monitor will sit right up in here. So I think it's going to work really well. I'm just figuring out where I'm going to put the wiring as well, and I'll make a little mount, and hopefully we can test it out and see how it works. All right, so here's what I've done. I put a plate. I just cut just a piece of sheet metal, drilled a couple holes through it to give it some strength here. Bolted this on, and then this is going to go up in here. So we'll try it out, and we'll put the monitor on there. I'll also cut a little notch out right here for the wire. Might need to make it a little bigger, but we'll see. Try it out. All right, so I got the step on, back on. It took a little convincing since this part for some reason was bent pretty badly, so I had to pound it a bit. But I got it back on there now. solid, looks good. And I discovered something else that I need to replace. This filter is probably the original. I wouldn't be surprised, and maybe that one too. So I don't know if you can see inside very well, but there's a filter inside, and this one out here too that has this cover goes over it, and pretty bad shape. So I'm gonna order another one of those. And I got the camera mounted up. Excuse me, the camera was mounted. The monitor, so you can kind of see it just sticks down a little bit right there. But from inside, I think it's gonna work really well. So it's right up here in the middle. Doesn't block any of the lights. I can get to the screw on the side to get the thing out. I've got my power parking switch here. I've got my Bob-Tach control, which isn't working right now. So for now, I've manually disconnected them. So this wire for the camera and the backup camera, I'm going to wire up to here. I've ordered a switch, toggle switch. I've got live power on the cigarette lighter, but I'll put a toggle switch on here to just turn it off, just so that it doesn't put a drain on the battery at all. And then I've got to figure out how to run now the wire all the way somehow to the back. So I've got to tilt the cabin back up again and see if I can figure out how I'm going to do that. And then tomorrow, hopefully it's going to be nice enough that I can finish the painting, and then next weekend put on the decals, the remaining decals I haven't put on yet. And we should be in business soon. So, all right, let's keep at it. All right, so there we are. After, I think it was 4 weekends, including this weekend, I think it's 4. Did a lot of work to this thing. Some, a lot of it was cosmetic, but some was certainly very important. Obviously, fan belt and the compressor belt. Those needed to be replaced for sure because they're both broken. And let's see, a lot of rust cleanup. Whole long list of things. I could probably put the list on the screen at the end here of all the different things that I fixed and worked on. But some of the biggest things, as I said, the fan belt, the roof was a real problem. It was leaking a lot inside. So I got new glass, new rubber seal. And that turned out great. And of course, the whole thing was all rust, as you remember. So we got that done with two good thick brushed on coats of Rust-Oleum. This was a big mess down here on the bottom. I think that was the most rust of anywhere, but I got that all cleaned up and painted, got the wiring all trimmed out nicely. So that's looking so much better. The seat, so things that I'm not going to include in this video just because this video has already gone way too long. If you even watched to this point, you may have just skipped to the end. So that's why I'm recapping. But, taking the windows out and fixing the seals on the windows because those are also letting water in. Cleaned the whole inside out quite a bit. I've got a new seat cover coming for the bottom. I've got a switch for, you saw the video, I just showed it, but the backup camera and backup screen I put up there. So that's working really well. All the lights are working correctly now. As I said, a lot of paint, new decals, and paint down here as well. And of course you saw new lights, new wiring, harness, or just not the full harness, just a little part of it. I just had a patch right here. So this was just torn off, but these are still intact. So I put the new light in there, new bulbs, and I already showed you the camera, I believe, and the wiring. You've seen that for sure. Decal up in the back my daughter made for me. Love that. She made the one for my excavator as well. And I think not too much left. I gotta go and grease all the zerks and make sure that everything is greased up good. And I think it's ready to roll. Hopefully next weekend I can get loaded up on the truck and take it up to Bear Ridge, and we'll get to see it in action. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm sure I've forgotten something, but there's, it's all in the video. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking with me if you did this far. Hopefully, let me know if you prefer. I don't know. The excavator, it was like 7 videos, so I thought I would do this in one long one instead. And that way, if somebody is interested, they can just skip through. Maybe I can figure out how to put chapters in it so you can jump to certain parts if you want to see how certain things are done, or how I, repair to replace certain parts of the machine. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Thank you for helping me create things, fix things, enjoy God's amazing creation outside. And I'm excited to share, hopefully soon, this machine in action. And quite a difference from when I brought it home. And I'm excited to get it going. And now that I've kind of go over it, every little inch of it I'm familiar with, well, almost every little inch, but a lot of cleaning, a lot of mud, a lot of gunk that I cleaned out from underneath and even in around the engine and so forth. So, but it's going great now. So until next time, have a fantastic week, and I will see you on the next project.